Well, here we are. It is Friday, May 3rd, 2024, and this is the weekly video. Of course, we do these every Friday. As many of you know, we've been away for the last few weeks on a bit of a vacation in Central America, down in Belize. We put up a couple of videos. There are more videos coming on it. I just have to round up the rest of them that are on other cell phones and get them in here so I can work with them, and I hope to do that in the next week. Overall, it was a great trip. As some of you may recall, last week, though, I did the recording. I just did a short recording, and I actually recorded it on Thursday because we were going to be traveling on Friday back to the States. And I mentioned in the video that my throat was a bit scratchy, and that's one of the reasons for sort of a shorter video. My scratchy throat got worse on Friday while we were traveling, and Saturday it got a whole lot worse once I was home, and Sunday was worse. And I swung by our local ER to get a little blood work done to see what was going on. And as it turns out, I had contracted a case of bacterial pneumonia while I was in Belize. And they quickly prescribed some antibiotics and things for them. But what it did was, and I'm doing fine. I'm recovering just fine. That sort of thing. But my voice was very hoarse for the last few days, still not back completely. And I wasn't able to get back to work quite the way I had planned this week. I had hoped to start doing the replies to the identification assistant and so forth on Monday. That was my original plan. Of course, that was dashed. And today is really the first day I've been doing much else other than sort of recuperating. So I apologize to everybody if you're wondering what happened. That's what happened. So we go on. It's fine. I made a little announcement over on the Patreon page about what happened, but I don't really have a broader way to do it here other than just mention it in the video. So that's what I'm doing. All right, now what's going on out there in the auction world? Actually, quite a lot. And one of the sites you want to pay attention to in the next week, there's a bunch of sales coming up. There's some very good sales coming up in a few weeks in Hong Kong that we'll probably cover in some videos next week. But there's a couple of sales that are live right now that many of you might find interesting that are being conducted by Bonhams. In particular, there are two in particular. One is this. This is a sale that, as many of you know, Bonhams acquired Bukowski's a couple of years ago. Very good auction house in Sweden, and they're having a China trade export auction. Export porcelain. There's about 117 lots on the sale. There's some nice pieces in here. If you're a China trade, Chinese export collector, you might want to check it out. The estimates all look reasonable. The pieces all look quite authentic. Bukowski's historically has done, many of you search on the internet for images to compare to things that you may have acquired, and often you see Bukowski's lots come up. Because they've done a number of very good Chinese auctions over the years. They're quite good at authenticating. They're quite good with their descriptions. I find them to be extremely reliable. And this is a sale that they're doing. All of their estimates look pretty reasonable as far as I can tell. Nothing seems out of line. They've got this very nice Canton enamel ewer here in the middle, and it's got already up to 6,900 Swedish coronas. I'm not sure what that translates into. Why don't we just check it real quick? SEK to dollar. Let's see here. 0.93 cents to the dollar. So, let's see. So, let's see. 6,000. Excuse me for doing this on the fly. Hold on. 7,000 coronas is $600. Okay. So you've got this very, very nice ewer with basically an opening bid of around $700 on it. Nice looking thing. Check it out. Good looking rose water bottle and other things in here. So if you're a Chinese export collector, you want to look into the sale. It takes place though in a couple days. So if you're going to do it today. I mentioned it I think a few weeks ago, but didn't go in much detail. The sale is on the 5th. It's just in a couple of days, but I think there's some good buys in here. All right. The next sale that's coming up is this one. This is at Bonhams in London. and it's a pretty big auction. It's a 547 lot auction, or 586 lot auction rather, and the vast majority of the lots in this sale are estimated at under 3,000 pounds. Many of them are estimated at, at the 1,000 pound or under level. There's a few lots. There are some lots that are 15 to 20 or over 7 or 8,000 pounds, but not the majority. This is a very reasonably estimated auction. It looks like whoever the sellers are, the consigners, they've been encouraged to just put a low estimate on it. You want to gather some attention to the sale, and there's some very nice looking pieces in here. There's this, I like this Tang a loop handle jar with this exceedingly very nice white body with this black glaze on it. Estimated at 2,500 to 3,800, 2,000 to 3,000 pounds, or 2,500 to 3,000 US. Fortunately, they do give the US estimates with their UK, with their British pound estimates, so it makes looking at what they're selling to be, a bit easier. But there's a lot of good content in here, a lot of porcelains, a lot of little bronzes, lots of paintings. There's some very nice paintings, and I'm going to cover some of them. Snuff bottles, brush pots, all the goodies. There's all kinds of stuff in here, and it's all very buyable. I don't think the prices or the estimates are at all unusual, especially if you're in the UK and you don't have to deal with shipping, because shipping is a pain in the neck in many, many cases. So keep that in mind. All right, now over here, here are just a few of the lots that are coming up. Is this very nice pair of Kangxi vases with lotus leaf divisions and then flowers in between. This nice garlic neck top and so forth. Very, very attractive. Estimated at what are they? 2,000 to 3,000 for the pounds for the pair. And they're 8.5 inches tall. And that seems to be extremely reasonable. That's I would think that the pair of them would bring somewhere around 3,000 to 4,000 pounds. A couple of $1,000, a couple of 1,000 pounds each. But we'll see. But again, I think they're buyable, and take a look at it. All right, and the next one, this is one of the more higher priced lots in it, but I wanted to mention them because they're very, very pretty. A pair of Famille Rose Jiajing to Daoguan period vases that are 34 inches tall and done in a very nice, it's Famille Rose, but very nice green tones. Beautifully done. Love the handles. The handles on here are beautifully done with these foo dogs looking back over their shoulders. One of them has a very short staple repair at the top. Doesn't look like it was really a damage. Looks like they applied the staples sort of preemptively to stop the crack from growing, which is not a bad idea. Whoever had that done was probably smart to do it because it did stop the crack from growing. Without those staples, that crack would go right down through the middle of the body. Eventually, just some temperature changes in a room, warming up, drying out, cooling down, expansion and contraction causes cracks to creep. And in this case, they nipped it in the bud by just putting two simple staples in there, which is fine. But these are very, very pretty vases. Beautifully done, soft pastel-y Famille Rose enamels, good colors, nice shading, and so forth. And they're estimated at 12 to 15,000 pounds, or $15,000 to $19,000. And then hopping along over to this painting, it's a floral urn with birds wallpaper. And this is a pretty big sheet, 53 by 42 inches. It's got a little bit of discoloration at the bottom, but it has a very neoclassical look to it. And I don't know how they dated it exactly. Well, they're dating it as 18th century, which is right. I didn't know if they were going to say Qinlong or whatever, but beautiful colors, very appealing. And I don't know if it's framed or not. Oh, it is framed and glazed. You might want to get a picture of it with the frame if you're interested in it, because the frame on a piece this big contributes heavily to the value. And as I've mentioned many, many times, when you're buying a piece of art, especially Chinese art that's already framed, when you're thinking about the estimate, always in the back of your mind saying, well, it's already framed. Do you like the frame? And if it's a frame that you can live with, then it's value added for you, because you're not going to have to send it out and spend $500 to $1,000 to get the thing reframed, which often, happens. But if the frame was tastefully done and you like the look of it, you're off the hook. And the estimate on this is very reasonable, 1,000 to 1,500 pounds. So as I said, if you like the frame, the cost of framing this would be about what the estimate is. So always keep that in mind. Plus, I think it's a very, very attractive composition. I like the phoenixes at the bottom. There are a pair of phoenixes down here. There they are at the bottom. or pheasants, I guess is what they are, a male and a female around this very, very attractive urn with ropes or braids coming off of it, and then just an eruption of flowers coming out of the top. It's very pretty, very, very pretty thing. And I don't think the estimate's at all unreasonable. I think that's sort of a bargain. And then this is another group of paintings that are already framed. Chinese export school paintings. These look like pith. Yeah, they are pith paintings of birds. And they're all framed, hand-painted frames. Their frames are contemporary, but it's a very nice-looking package. And the birds are beautifully done. Overall, the pith paintings, many of you know, pith is extremely susceptible to cracks and damage because it's not really paper. It's thin sheets cut from what's known as a pith tree, and they just slice it out very, very thin, press it, dry it, and they use that to paint on like silk or paper. But it is extremely brittle stuff and was usually sold, once these were painted, they would be put into albums with backs on them, and they would use blue silk to hold them down, hold them in place, and then they would put maybe 10 or 15 or 20 of one of these things in an album, and they sold them in the hongs, or in Canton rather, to China traders that were coming in to whatever subject matter they were interested in. There were numerous workshops that produced them, and they would make areas of interest. In this case, it was birds. There's also a bunch of them similarly framed in this auction of seashells. So if you're interested in seashells, that's another one. This one is birds. There are 12 of these, and they are estimated at just $1,300 to $1,900 US. Which works out to about $140 a piece, which is very, very inexpensive. Again, the frames for these probably cost around $500 to $700 a piece minimum. It certainly would cost that today if you were doing it. So I think these represent a great possible bargain. Again, the shipping might be a little bit high, but you got to weigh that out against the overall cost of getting them refamed and the cost of the pith paintings, the value of the pith paintings themselves. Figure the pith paintings are each worth $200 or so, $150 to $200 just by themselves, not including their frames. All right, and then this, a portrait attributed to Goulot, 18th century and early 19th century painter. It's a rather attractive painting. It's 26 inches tall. It's pretty big, 13 inches wide. And this is a very, very elegant portrait of a woman holding an instrument over her shoulder, it looks like. Beautiful robes coming down, obviously a well-to-do woman with Buddhist knots and whatnot falling down the front. And then you have all these other little wraps and so forth. It's very fine silk, beautifully kept hair, meticulously done face, beautiful face. And it's a nice looking painting, estimated at 1,000 to 1,500 pounds. It is framed and it is under glass, so you don't have to worry about that. Again, a great looking picture. And then hopping along over to this fan. This is, if you're a fan buyer, pay attention to this. This is a really good fan. We've seen these in the past where they've turned up on eBay and they've done very, very well. But this is one of these gilt silver and enamel decorated fan blades. Absolutely beautiful. And then with the traditional watercolor of court scenes and people assembled in a palace or in some sort of government facility with the key figure at the top. Very nicely done. Estimated very reasonably 800 to 1,200 pounds, or 1,000 to $1,500. The last time we saw one of these turn up, you may recall, it was on eBay, or I think it was on eBay, and it seemed to have come in at around $2,500, $2,400, $2,600, somewhere around there, because of the gilded silver blades and the enameling. And it looks to be in excellent condition. And it was sold at Sotheby's in 2011 in a previous sale. Check with them on condition, check if there's any repairs, and also get a picture of the back of it. They didn't bother to include the picture of the back. And sometimes the pictures of the backs of these are quite beautiful, and it might give you a stronger sense of its value. But this sale, incidentally, doesn't end until May 14th. So you've got about 12 days, 11 days to get into it. It's worth doing. And then a pair of green and white aubergine glazed floral vases with a Chandé mark on the bottom. It's not, but they are Kangxi. And these who-form vases, were very, very popularly made, particularly in the 19th century. They also made them, and they originally were a bronze form, of course. And this one is an aubergine. And I've seen these before. I actually had one of these that I bought from a dealer in Boston back in was it probably in the 1998 or something. And he had come across it out of a house on Beacon Hill. But it was just one of them. And it had blue enamel on it, as well as I believe it was yellow and blue with the enamels on that one. But this one is white and green, and then green with some white. So they both are green and white. The one on the right has more green in it, and the other one is white. But very attractive. I think these are very nice, and they were bought from William Clayton Limited in London back in 1966. For some reason, they blocked out the prices, the price that was paid for them. I don't know why they bothered. It was so long ago. It doesn't make any difference. At any rate, they're estimated at $1,300 to $1,500 or $1,900 US, which is very reasonable. That's $700, $800 or $900 a piece. And the ones that I got back in the 90s, I think the one I got back in the 90s, I sold for more than that for one of them. So I think that estimate is very, very, very reasonable. Get a condition report and so forth, but very interesting. And let's see here. Acquired through William Clayton London. It was sold in an auction on May 1966 at Sotheby's in London. So that was the last time these were sold. I think they're very interesting. So if you like unusual pieces, these are it. These are very nice. Other interesting things are these. This pair of light green ground with underglaze. It looks like underglaze red decoration, insects and flowers. Again from William Clayton. He handled good stuff. Let's see here. Rondell lungshi sprays, Kangxi period, butterflies, and so forth. It's not underglaze red. It's underglaze blue. It looks like more of a red from here, but they're saying it's blue. Boy, that looks like underglaze red to me. But anyway, double check that. But they're interesting. The ground color is, of course, extremely unusual. A lot of you are sitting there saying, that's a strange ground color. It is a strange ground color, but it's an interesting combination. And I think for a plate and two bowls with an estimate of 1,000 to 1,500 pounds is not a bad estimate of price. The dish is the saucer is 4 inches in diameter, to give you a rough idea on size. But it's an interesting lot with the two cups. And then onto this Kangxi period jar with underglaze red and underglaze blue. These peaches on it. This is quite nice. The celadon ground is very soft in color. The red was quite successful. The underglaze blue looks good and thick. And nice looking jar. 7 7/8 inches or 7 inches. Basically, it's 7 inches in height. Has a later wooden lid. It looks like, estimated at 1,000 to 1,500 pounds. As I said, so much of the stuff in the sale is the estimates are very reasonable. And then there's this. If you're I'm just pointing this out because I know after that Brunk sale a year or two ago when they had all the little miniature vases, they did so well. And I know a number of you began buying them because, gee, why not? And here's another one. Again, these miniature vases. The biggest one is 4 3/8 inches in height. So they're all small, nice looking shapes and forms. They all appear to be 19th century. One or two of them might be a little bit older, possibly this cafe example here, that cafe example there, and possibly the white porcelain vase. I don't think that's Blanc de Chine. I just think it's white porcelain. But I think those three might possibly be early 19th or late 18th century. But you got to see the bottoms of them, and they didn't include the bottoms. I wish Bottoms would do more with extra photos because they're going to end up being asked for them. You might as well include them. Okay. And then over to this, there's a very nice couple of pairs of Yuan Dynasty bronzes. The tallest ones are 11 3/4 inches tall. These are very nice. The two in the middle in particular I like a lot. It's a well-known form and type. If you collect these what they call later bronzes, from the Sung to the early Qing dynasty, this is a pretty well-known form and type. But it is a pair. They are a legitimate pair. And they're good looking. They're 11 inches tall. They appear to be in overall quite good condition. The patina is undisturbed on them. And with them, you also get these two smaller ones that are good too, I guess. The one on the right looks like somebody may have attempted to polish it at some point and then stopped because they realized it was a dumb idea. You never want to strip off the patina of old bronzes, obviously. But some people think you should. I don't understand. If you get a bronze that's always been polished rather, then you may decide to keep up with it. It look perfectly fine. But if it's never been polished and it's got a nice surface, leave the surface alone. That's all I can really say on it. One thing I wanted to mention was I had mentioned a couple of weeks ago I had bought a couple of things at Leland Little auction, and they offer in-house shipping. And I was curious to see how much the shipping rates were. And I have to say the shipping rates, you may recall I bought those 3 very large Japanese Satsuma plates, shallow bowls that were 11 to 12 inches in diameter. They were quite heavy and thick, you might recall. And I got the shipping quote on those, and it came out, it was about $140 or so, which is very reasonable for those because they are heavy, and there are 3 of them, and they're gonna require, very particular, nice big box, lots of space, double box, all that stuff, and the weight. And with the shipping rates the way they are around the country today, from North Carolina to me here, and they're on their way apparently. I emailed the department there the other day, and they'll be going out shortly. I thought the rate was extremely reasonable. And again, this is, it's a bonus for that auction house because they've decided to take that step to do their own shipping. And if you're an auction house and you're watching this and you're not doing shipping, if you're not providing shipping, or especially for smalls, big pieces of furniture, people expect to get a freight bill. But if you are doing auctions and you're not providing shipping, you are costing yourself money. You're just going to lose money because people are going to find that companies that do their own in-house shipping, you save a lot of money. If I had to pay an outside firm to go and pick those up and ship them and pack them to me, I guarantee you the price for shipping those would have been 2.5 times what or at least double, possibly 2.5, even more times what they charged. And that's how you build a customer base. All right, because I now know going ahead that I don't have to worry about the shipping from Leland Little. And that is a big thing. And if you buy from auction houses that don't offer it, hound them about it and tell them they're out of their minds for not doing it. I'm including the major auction houses as well. Christie, Sotheby's, and Bonhams are missing a lot of bids from the big middle market, which is most of us. We're not the 1% buyers out there. We're not the people lining up to spend $1 million at an auction. No, you're going to spend maybe 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 here or there, 20,000. That's one group of buyers, 20,000 and under. All right, and that is the meat of many auctions. And if you can't offer reasonable shipping, especially from Europe, if you can't find a way to just jump over that hurdle, you're just missing out. You're just plain missing out because you're just going to force people not to shop over there that don't live in your part of the world. And you can't any longer, because the world's gotten so small, hold the attitude that, well, it's it's the way it is. No, it's not. No. Stand out. There are always ways to work these things out. There are always ways to get better deals. And I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it until I'm blue in the face. That if you run an auction house and you don't think you need to provide shipping, you're totally wrong. You're utterly mistaken. Yeah, it's extra work. Yeah, it requires an investment of time and energy. But in the long run, your auctions will do a lot better, especially if you sell small things. Things that will fit in a box under 20-inch cube, because most of that can go through the U.S. Post Office, get the customer to agree to it, and then you have choices. You can use UPS, you can use FedEx, you can use USPS. So it's just a little rant on my return home. All right, now over to eBay this week. There's some very good lots turned up this week. Check out the newsletter page on bid amount. If you haven't in a bit, there are some really good lots coming up, and one of them is this very nice sort of cafe brown Chinese skirt. These skirts have done very well lately. This one is a nice clean example. Notice the waist section of here, it's very pure and very white. This doesn't look like it's ever been worn from what I can see. And it should do quite well. It should bring $500 to $700. It's a good looking skirt. And then over to this is this very, very, very nice Chinese export teapot, late 18th, early 19th century, strap handled, Lots and lots. It looks like it's had some clobbering done to it. From the seller isn't mentioning that, but it clearly has. But it's a very good looking teapot, and I love the spout handle. That looks like Dutch work to me on the handle. And there you go. It's up to $122. Closes tomorrow. It should go for $300 to $400. It's a very nice piece of clobberware. Clobberware also has been doing quite well lately, so keep that in mind. All right, and then over to this. This is a nice little cup. This caught my eye. It's got this Bianco Sopra Bianco, as they call it, when you see white enamel on white porcelain. Especially, it's a term that really didn't come out of China. It's more of a term typically applied to European ceramics, and you'll see dishes with white borders with white enameling in the borders in European ceramics, and they call them Bianco Sopra Bianco. Just means white on white, basically. But this is a very nice looking pattern. I like this aqua blue and this green. It's just a very delicately painted cup. If you like interesting cups, this is a good one. This is a dandy little cup. And it looks like it's in quite good shape all the way around. There's the bottom of it, 18th century all the way. Nice looking thing. An unusual color palette. Unusual. And it's only up to $25. It closes on Sunday. The shipping to the U.S. isn't outrageous. It's $27 to here from the UK, from let me see, William Essex, Whitman Essex rather, in the UK. $27 to ship it. It's only up to $25. It should bring $100 to $125 plus shipping, but we'll see. It could be a really good buy. But if you're a cup buyer, check it out. And then the brush pot, nice little 19th century brush pot, sort of unusually carved. I like the bamboo leaves at the top. You have this kneeling man before an emperor and pine trees and so forth. Stylistically, it's sort of interesting looking. I don't think this is a modern copy. I just think it's just a 19th century one that is an atypical carving. It's only up to $34. This closes on Sunday also, and the shipping here again is reasonable. This is coming also from the UK from another seller, $31. All right, how come the Brits can ship so inexpensively? We can't. Huh. All right, and then there's this armorial export teapot, mug from the 18th century. There's the bottom of it, very typical. It's got some blisters here around the top and the inside, but the armorial work looks like it's in very good condition. And if you have Howard's book, you could look up that coat of arms. I'm sure it doesn't look like the seller did it or had access to the book. At any rate, he has other Chinese items that may be of interest. Right now, it's up to $224. It looks like it's a $400 to $600 mug. It's a nice looking mug. So if you're collecting 18th century armorial, you want to check that out. That will be on the newsletter page this week. And then the Wan Li garlic neck jug vase. What's interesting about this is that the panels, sometimes they have just leaf forms or birds or phoenixes. This one has people in the alternating panels, which is sort of unusual. It's sort of an atypical type. I like the way it's done. It looks like it's in good shape. I don't see any damage to it and so forth. It's in beautiful condition. It's got 4 days to go. It closes next Wednesday. And right now, it's only up to $133. It should get up to $1,500 or so. It's a foot tall. I just wanted to double check the height on it, not including the stand, I'm assuming. People know not to include the stand height. And a good looking piece of porcelain. All right, but we haven't seen the best pieces yet. Now, this is something that really caught my eye. This is, as many of you know what it is. It's a mother of pearl. Excuse me, my throat is still dry. At any rate, we're doing our best. This is a mother of pearl scene with it's a nativity scene with Mary and Joseph and so forth. And some of you are aware that there was a big move by missionaries in China, going into China, starting in the 18th and into the 19th century, especially American missionaries to, the Jesuits are there, but the American missionaries really went there to convert the Chinese into Christianity. And they had no luck at all. It was a total failure. A few people did, but there wasn't a lot of success had. So finding things of the Christian influence in Chinese art is not that typical. You find more of it down in the Philippines, of course, because there was a big Christian influence there with the Spaniards. But typically there wasn't much success at all, and there were all these different groups in America raising money to secretly print Bibles that were translated into Chinese. All this crazy stuff they were doing to get converts, and it just sort of flopped time and time and time again. But in this case, they went so far as to have a mother of pearl thing carved with a religious scene on it, which is quite beautiful. Here's a better picture of it. The color is very nice on this. And I remember back in I think it was back in the 1990s, the PBS Essex Museum even did an exhibition of Christian symbolisms on Chinese objects that were made in China during this period, this period of desire to convert the Chinese. So this has a nice, very interesting history. And if you don't own a mother of pearl piece and you're interested in export wares, this is one I'd recommend buying very strongly, because it's a very unusual scene, and it's not something you're going to see very often. And it's coming out of Cranbury, New Jersey. Somebody there found this. So I think it's worth looking at, and it should bring either $100 or $200. Wouldn't surprise me at all. It's a very unusual subject matter. And then over to this, you have this Lac Bourget box. This is being sold by Stubbsy Wubsy, and it's a pagoda scene and forts and on the water here. You can see the water's implied by these horizontal lines, and then little flowers growing up out of the water, so forth. Nice looking little box. It closes in 8 days. This just got listed the other day. It's got one bid right now. It's at £9. It should get up there a little bit, probably to $300 or $400 or so, maybe more. But it's a nice looking thing. It's unusual, and again, pretty good. And then over to this. Now this is Joni's up in Canada. They posted an auction here that's got a lot of good stuff in it. They've got Joni's up there. I don't know a lot about how they work, but they can at times be a little controversial, I'm afraid. But they get good things. I'll give them that credit. They're a little crazy, and they seem to have an army of pickers. But somebody told me that's pretty familiar with them is that they have a slew of pickers out there that hit auctions and go to group shops and flea markets and all this. And there's a sort of a system up there. And your first shot at selling things is often to see if Joni's will put it up online for you and use the weight of their site to get you a good price, or they will buy it from you. They are very active. That's sort of their business model. They've been doing it that way now for years and years and years. As you can see, they've got 22,635 feedbacks. They've sold a lot of stuff. So at any rate, they have this robe. This is a great robe. It's a 19th century robe. It would appear to be probably Daoguan period. Beautifully colored. It couldn't be a little older. Gilt sleeve ends. Wonderful dragon decoration. Beautifully done skirt at the bottom. All around. All just a very, very beautiful robe. Just click through some of the images here. This is a very fine robe. And it's already up to $9,000. It was just posted, I think, when was this posted? Last night. And it's already got 20-something bids, and it's up to $9,100. It will get up there. It will probably get up to $15,000 to $20,000. I think it's one of the things that's going to rise very rapidly in the first few days, probably settle down. But I think $15,000 to $20,000. May bring more. Who the heck knows? The silk market is very strong, very, very resilient. But that's a very fine example. If you've been looking for a good Chinese robe, that's a good one. It's a real good one. And then this is I'm not sure how they're dating this Qing. It really isn't. This is a transitional period brush pot. And this is not I don't know how they even dated it. Let's take a look. Scroll down here. Romance of the Three Kingdoms or the Western Chamber. We believe the brush pot date the 18th and 19th century. Okay, they're off by a couple hundred years on this. This is a transitional period brush pot, I believe. The bottom of it, the sides of it, the way this looks here, there's some chips out of the foot. It looks like somebody, for some reason, put the thing down much too hard a few times. But the way it's potted, The way this lip overhang is done, this very smooth paste on the bottom that doesn't look like 18th or 19th century paste to me at all. And then the decoration is exceptional. This is beautiful decoration on it. And I believe this to have been made in the middle of the 17th century, not during the 18th or 19th century. I think it's quite a lovely example. And it's got some rough edges on it around the top and so forth. It's got this little bit of enway decoration at the top and bottom, cross-hatching the rain clouds at the bottom, and then the scrolls at the top. But to me, it looks fine. And it's up to $374. It should bring 5,000 to 7,000, even with the chips. Without the chips, it would probably bring 20 or 30, or 15 to 20 at least. You may recall there was that sale recently. There was the Park Avenue sale in New York where they had a bunch of brush pots estimated at 4,000 to 6,000. We'll talk about them next week, and they ended up bringing 20, 30,000. Brush pots are very popular right now, and this is a very good one. And it is not Qing; it is transitional period, in my opinion. So. Do check that out. That'll be on the newsletter page. And then this very nice Wang Hing silver and enamel relief bowl. This is a very rare thing. If you buy, where's the Wang Hing mark? That's my question though. Hold on. Because you can't call it Wang Hing if it's not marked. There it is, right there, WH90. Okay, good. There it is. That's a Wang Hing mark. This is a very rare thing. There was a similarly done teapot in this style that was in the collection of Crosby Forbes, the former the curator of the Peabody Essex, who wrote the famous book on Chinese silver, the original book on Chinese silver, Chinese export silver, and so forth, through the Peabody Museum back in the 1970s, I guess it was, a long time ago. He was a big collector of this stuff. And he had a teapot that was done in this style, and it was in his estate auction, his second estate auction. And as I recall, I bid on it, and I didn't get it. I had bid on it up to about 8,000, and I think it went for 15 or 20. It went way over what anybody thought it was going to bring. Because at that point, Wang Hing stuff was doing okay, but it wasn't doing great. And since then, Wang Hing has become very, very popular among collectors. And this is a beautiful bowl. This is a wonderful bowl. It's got cranes on it and flowers. And how big is it? I wish they'd put the information where you could find it. 5 inches in diameter. Okay, it's a 5-inch bowl. Nice looking bowl. Should bring $1,500 to $2,000 anyway. Could bring more because of the enameling. It's not huge and it's not a teapot, but it's still a lovely, lovely example. And if you like Wang Hing's work and you like enamel on silver, this is something certainly worth looking into. And then over to this. This is also from Joni's. Is this very rare Chinese Amari gilt incise tureen and plates and plate stand. This is a pretty good sized thing, as I recall, bigger than it looks. Yeah, it's 7 inches. The tureen measures almost 8 inches in diameter and 5 inches tall. So it's not a bowl. It's bigger than that. It's pretty good size, 8 inches. So it's around there. So you might want to check into this. It's got enway decoration on it, the hidden decoration right here under the glazed. There's very nice iron red with gilt Amari decoration. It's a very nice looking thing. Very unusual form, very unusual type. If you're scratching your head saying, gee, I haven't seen one of these before, you will see them. They're not unknown, but done like this, you don't see them very often. And that looks to be about a 10-inch plate. It's very nicely done. It mirrors, of course, the work on the bowl itself with the cover. I love this, the lappet decoration they applied to it around the outer edge. Very, very nicely done. There's the back of it. Pretty classic Kangxi foot and color. Estimate. Let's see here. What will this thing bring? Well, right now it's only up to $67. It doesn't mean a thing. Expect it though to bring probably $1,500 to $2,400 with the under tray. It's all three pieces: the under tray, the bowl, and the cover. And they all look to be in good condition, so that'll carry it a long way. Plus, it's an unusual form. However, you might get a bargain because it's not a form that anybody's going to be able to look up quite quickly and say, here's another one that sold for this. You're going to have to dig around a while to find it. And you will find one or two, but not many. All right, and then this Qinlong platter. 1780s or so. Nice looking. It's let's see, it's up to $31. It's going to do better than that, of course. It has a mark on the back. Let's see here. There's the mark on the back. It's not an imperial mark, but it basically says Chinlung period, made in the Chinlung. And let's see here. This was 15 inches long. This is not an export platter, by the way, just so you know. This was not made for export. It may look like it, but it really isn't. This is sort of reminiscent of, there were round Kangxi plates done in a similar pattern, and it's sort of a revival of that, but very nice looking. And then the last thing is the box, the Ming Dynasty box, probably one Li period. Nicely done. I don't think it's marked, as I recall. Yeah, no, it's unmarked, but good-looking box. Good-looking box. It's up to $18, and it'll end up in the. Well, let's check the size. How big is it? Size matters, as they say. It's 7 3/8 inches in diameter, so it's probably going to bring $1,500 to $2,500, $1,800 to $2,500, somewhere in there. Could go for less. You never know these days. The prices have been a little wacky, but it's a very attractive thing. Anyway, that's about it. Check the newsletter page this week, because we're going to load it this week. There's going to be a lot of stuff on there. And check out that Bonham sale in London, and check out Bukowski's if you have the time. I know it's a little bit close, but the Bonham sale has a lot of good content in it. Lots and lots of things. Plenty of time to check on shipping. Plenty of time to get condition reports. But I do urge you to look into it if you shop in that price range, that sort of sweet spot that we all enjoy. For things that are not going to wipe out the bank. Things that are under $5,000, even under $1,000, you can get some good things. I would definitely look into it. Get some. Build up a little wish list, and once you get your condition reports, hit them all with bids. That's the greatest thing, as I say, carpet bomb auctions with bids. Leave bids that you'd be thrilled to pay if you got it for that price, even if it seems silly. Just do it. You will surprise yourself. As I said 2 weeks ago, in those 3 big Satsuma pieces I bought, I didn't really think that they would go very reasonably. I thought that they're going to hit at least. If I bought them, I would have to have paid at least the last dollar of my left bid. And it didn't happen. I sort of got them on the low end of my left bids. So, and I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely excited about it. I still get excited about great buys of great things in this business after 45 years. So that's the way it is. All right. Thanks for subscribing here. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Leave a comment. Let me know about the sales that, I hear from people, email me all the time that they go to Bonhams, or they left a bid here, or they left a bid there. We had a couple of people in the last month that emailed me and said, I did what you said. I left a bunch of bids and I got some really good buys. And that's the fun part of the business. You're doing it to collect, of course, but it's always great fun. The sport of the hunt and the sport of the bid can't be underestimated, how much fun that is along the way. So even if you don't get the piece, you had the fun of at least taking a shot. But if you don't leave a bid, then you're just on the sidelines playing armchair collector. You want to jump in, get your feet into it, and become an active collector, buying things that you love, things that you want to have for a time, and then from there. All right. So there we go. Thanks for watching. See you next week. I'm going to be doing a few videos next week, and I'm going to start doing the identification assistant replies, getting those caught up. And again, I apologize for that, but this week was sort of a wash, given what happened after I got back. But I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine, so don't worry about it. It was just a bump in the road, so to speak, and it certainly didn't get rid of the fun we had on our trip. We had a wonderful time, very memorable time. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye.